Welcome back to the channel. For years, the global remittance market, valued in the hundreds of billions, has been plagued by high fees, slow settlement times, and a general lack of transparency. Many of us have felt this friction. But what if there was a project, a network with a meticulously engineered strategy, a kind of secret weapon, designed to systematically dismantle these inefficiencies? Today, we're focusing on Stellar XLM, and what I believe is its increasingly potent, yet often not fully appreciated, multifaceted approach to genuinely crushing remittance fees. We're going to connect the dots on developments leading up to June 2025, and by the end of this, I think you'll understand the huge reveal, the comprehensive nature of Stellar's strategy that is making significant inroads. This is about understanding the fundamentals that drive real-world impact. Welcome back to the channel. For years, the global remittance market, valued, as you know, in the hundreds of billions of dollars annually, a lifeline for countless families and a significant economic driver for many nations, has been persistently plagued by a series of deeply entrenched inefficiencies. Before we even begin to delve into Stellar-specific weaponry, it's absolutely crucial, I believe, to understand the nature and scale of this battlefield. We often hear about the global average cost of sending remittances. Reputable institutions like the World Bank consistently report this figure hovering around the 6% mark, and in some corridors, particularly in underserved regions like Sub-Saharan Africa or parts of Latin America and Southeast Asia, these costs can be considerably higher. Now, 6% might not sound like an enormous figure in isolation, but when you consider the cumulative impact, billions of dollars skimmed off the top of funds intended for essential needs like education, healthcare, and daily sustenance, it becomes a very significant levy indeed. This challenge, this consistent and often regressive drain on value, isn't just an economic inefficiency. It's a barrier to financial inclusion and development. Beyond just the direct cost, traditional remittance systems are often characterized by frustratingly slow settlement times, sometimes taking days for funds to arrive, a lack of transparency in the fee structures, and often significant accessibility issues for both senders and recipients who may not have easy access to traditional banking services. This is precisely the environment that many blockchain projects, with their promise of disintermediation and efficiency, have aimed to address, though, as we've seen, with varying degrees of strategic focus and tangible success. Now, Stellar XLM, it's important to note, was architected from its very inception, from its foundational layers, with this specific vision of global financial inclusion and transactional efficiency at its core. This wasn't a pivot or an afterthought. It was a primary design objective. Its foundational blueprint, therefore, contains several key, interconnected elements that are often discussed individually, but whose combined power truly forms the basis of its potent remittance strategy. We are talking, first and foremost, about the Stellar Consensus Protocol, SCP. This isn't just another consensus mechanism. SCP, based on a concept known as Federated Byzantine Agreement, allows the network to achieve near-instantaneous settlement, typically confirming transactions in a remarkably consistent 3 to 5 seconds. Paired with this, transaction fees on the Stellar network are, for all practical purposes, negligible, often costing mere fractions of a US cent, or stroops, as they're known in the Stellar ecosystem. This combination of world-class speed and extremely low, predictable cost isn't just a minor improvement over the days-long waiting periods and opaque, percentage-based fees of traditional systems. It represents a fundamental, almost revolutionary paradigm shift in how value can be moved. For remittances, where even small percentage fees can accumulate significantly, this efficiency is mission-critical. Furthermore, and this is a point often underappreciated in its full strategic importance, Stellar's native ability to facilitate multi-currency transactions and incredibly easy, low-cost asset issuance is a cornerstone of its design. This means that digital representations of various fiat currencies, be they US dollars, euros, Nigerian naira, Philippine pesos, Mexican pesos, you name it, can be created, held, and exchanged seamlessly directly on the Stellar network. This isn't limited to just major currencies. Any regulated financial institution or fintech can, in theory, issue a token representing a local currency. Coupled with this is Stellar's built-in decentralized exchange, SDEX, capability. The SDEX is not a separate DApp but an intrinsic part of the Stellar protocol itself, allowing for efficient price discovery and transparent conversion pathways between any pair of assets issued on the network. This is particularly powerful for exotic currency pairs often found in remittance corridors, potentially reducing the need for multiple intermediary banks and their associated markups. These core features, the efficient consensus enabling speed and near-zero fees, the versatile asset issuance framework, and the integrated decentralized exchange, these, you see, were not accidental developments. They were deliberate, carefully considered design choices aimed squarely at creating a truly global, interoperable, and profoundly accessible financial infrastructure. This robust and versatile foundation is the very bedrock upon which the more visible components of Stellar's secret weapon for crushing remittance fees are built. And it's this deep architectural intent that provides Stellar with its unique and enduring advantages in this space. Understanding this blueprint is the first step to appreciating the layers we're about to uncover. Now, having established Stellar's foundational blueprint, its low fees, its rapid settlement, its inherent capabilities for multi-currency transactions and asset issuance, these are, as I mentioned, essential. But the astute observer, the one looking for that 1% insight, will naturally ask, how does value actually bridge the gap? How does it move seamlessly from the traditional financial world onto the Stellar network and, crucially, back out again into the recipient's local currency, in their hand, ready to be used? This is where we uncover the first truly tangible components of Stellar's secret weapon. Components that are often understood in isolation, but whose synergistic power is frequently underestimated. I'm referring, of course, to Stellar's anchor network. Anchors, in the Stellar lexicon, are not merely participants. They are vital bridges. These are typically regulated financial institutions, established money service businesses, MSBs, or innovative fintech companies that have integrated with the Stellar network. Their primary role is to connect Stellar to traditional banking rails, think bank accounts, mobile money platforms like M-Pesa, or local payment systems. They achieve this by issuing fiat-backed tokens, which are essentially stablecoins or digital representations of fiat currency, directly onto the Stellar network. So, for instance, an anchor in Nigeria might issue a digital naira, let's call it ENGN for this example, fully backed 1:1 by actual naira held in a safeguarded account. Similarly, an anchor in the Philippines might issue a digital peso. The process, is quite straightforward in concept. A user or a remittance company can deposit traditional fiat like naira or pesos with a local anchor and receive the equivalent amount of digital tokens on the Stellar network. These tokens can then be transacted globally on Stellar with all its inherent speed and low cost. At the destination, another anchor, perhaps in a different country, can then facilitate the redemption of these Stellar-based tokens back into local fiat currency for the end recipient. This network of interoperable anchors is an absolutely critical, yet sometimes less visible, component of Stellar's strategy to genuinely crush remittance fees. It does so by fostering competitive, localized pathways for value transfer, often bypassing the more cumbersome and expensive correspondent banking system. The Stellar network itself, particularly through standards like September 24th for regulated and interoperable on-off ramps, facilitates this. The power lies in the diversity and reliability of these anchors, each serving their specific geography and regulatory context. Now, complementing this vital anchor infrastructure, we must consider a truly significant catalyst within this weapon system, one that has gained considerable traction as we look at the landscape in June 2025. I'm referring to the deep integration and widespread adoption of USDC on Stellar. USDC, issued by Circle, is, as many of you will know, a globally recognized and increasingly regulated dollar digital currency. Its presence and robust liquidity on the Stellar network have become a major lubricant, a powerful accelerant, for cross-border payments and remittances. Why USDC specifically? Well, its stability, its transparency regarding reserves, and the established trust associated with Circle as a regulated entity make it an almost ideal bridge asset for remittances. Instead of remittance providers having to navigate the volatility of other cryptocurrencies or deal with the complexities of multiple direct fiat-to-fiat conversions across less liquid currency pairs on a DEX, they can leverage USDC for the core international leg of the journey. A payment can be converted from, say, a sender's local currency into USDC on Stellar via an anchor, transmitted globally as USDC almost instantaneously and at near zero cost, and then converted by a receiving anchor from USDC into the recipient's local currency. This dramatically simplifies operations, reduces the need for extensive pre-funding in multiple currencies, and significantly mitigates counterparty risk for these remittance service providers. The availability of a highly liquid, trusted, and increasingly regulated asset like USDC directly on Stellar, operating in synergy with the diverse network of local anchors, forms an incredibly potent one-two punch. This isn't just about having a stablecoin on the network. It's about having the right kind of stablecoin, one with broad acceptance, deep liquidity, and a strong compliance posture that can serve as a universally accepted intermediary. This combination, you see, addresses many of the practical, operational challenges that have historically made remittances slow and expensive. It's a very pragmatic and powerful part of Stellar's toolkit. Technology and well-designed assets, as we've discussed with Stellar's foundational blueprint and the role of its anchor network in USDC, are indeed one crucial side of the equation. However, real-world adoption, the kind that genuinely makes a difference in people's lives and truly begins to crush those exorbitant remittance fees, is invariably achieved through effective, strategic alliances and the diligent execution of go-to-market strategies. This, you see, is where the secret weapon moves from theory to practice, where its impact becomes truly measurable and observable. This is the proof of the pudding, as they say. The most prominent and widely discussed example in Stellar's arsenal is, of course, its long-standing and evolving collaboration with MoneyGram International. As we assess the landscape in June 2025, the MoneyGram Access Service, which, as many of you know, leverages the Stellar network and USDC to facilitate near-instantaneous settlement of funds for cross-border payments, has not just maintained its presence but has demonstrably continued to expand its reach and refine its offerings. We're not just talking about a static partnership. We're seeing evidence of an increasing number of active corridors, more physical and digital on/off-ramp locations being integrated globally, and, according to various market reports and occasional company statements, a tangible uptick in transaction volumes flowing through these Stellar-powered channels. The key benefits consistently highlighted are significantly reduced settlement times, from days down to mere minutes or even seconds, and, critically, lower costs for consumers. For example, in certain corridors where traditional remittance fees might have historically consumed 8 to 10% of the principal, services leveraging Stellar rails are reportedly bringing these down to the 2 to 4% range, or even lower for certain digital-to-digital pathways. This isn't just a marginal improvement. For the individuals and families relying on these funds, it's a substantial increase in the value received. The strategic importance of a globally recognized and trusted brand like MoneyGram adopting and expanding its use of Stellar cannot be overstated. It sends a powerful message to the broader financial industry about the viability and efficiency of blockchain-based settlement. But, the truly insightful 1% perspective often involves looking beyond the headline-grabbing flagship partnerships. While MoneyGram is a vital anchor and partner, the real, deep-rooted strength of Stellar's remittance ecosystem, especially by mid-2025, is increasingly evident in the growing and diversifying ecosystem of other fintech companies, specialized payment providers, and innovative startups that are building on Stellar to serve specific, often underserved remittance niches. We are seeing a fascinating proliferation of these entities focusing on corridors in regions like Latin America, various parts of Africa, including, for example, increased activity in major West African economies like Nigeria where digital payments are surging, and across Southeast Asia. These are regions where remittance costs have traditionally been exceptionally high, and where access to efficient financial services can be limited. By leveraging Stellar's low-cost rails, its multi-asset capabilities, and the liquidity of USDC, these nimble players are able to offer far more competitive services, directly challenging the often monopolistic or inefficient incumbent systems. They might be mobile money operators integrating Stellar for cross-border top-ups, or new digital remittance platforms offering significantly better FX rates and lower fixed fees, all accessible via user-friendly mobile applications. What's particularly compelling as of June 2025 is that many of these initiatives, which might have been announced as pilot programs or early-stage ventures in previous years, are now demonstrably moving into full-scale operation. We are seeing more concrete evidence of their market penetration, user acquisition, and the actual flow of value. For instance, one might observe a fintech based in a key African hub that has built a Stellar-based service facilitating low-cost remittances to several European countries, or a platform in Southeast Asia enabling swift and affordable payments between neighboring nations. Each of these contributes to a broader network effect. The power here, it's important to understand, is not just vested in one single partnership, however large. It's in the sum of many parts. Each new, successful remittance service built on Stellar adds another node to this expanding network, creating more on-off ramps, increasing overall liquidity for various fiat tokens, and fostering a healthy level of competition among these service providers, which can, in turn, drive costs down even further for the end consumer. This creates a resilient, adaptable, and increasingly widespread network for low-cost value transfer, one that is not overly dependent on any single entity. Crucially, as we stand in mid-2025, these are not just theoretical use cases or future promises anymore. We now have access to a growing body of observable data and, increasingly, user testimonials from these diverse services. Analytics platforms, including Flipside Crypto's integration with Stellar, are beginning to provide clearer insights into transaction volumes for specific asset types popular in remittance flows. We see reports on the growth of active wallets in key remittance-receiving countries, and user feedback consistently highlights the dramatic improvements in speed, cost, and convenience. This transition from potential to proven, demonstrable utility is perhaps the most compelling evidence of Stellar's secret weapon, truly hitting its mark. It's the quiet but steady accumulation of real-world impact. Sorabon, supercharging the remittance engine for the next decade. Now, if Stellar's existing architecture and partnerships form its current secret weapon, then the maturation of Sorabon, its smart contract platform, is set to supercharge this weapon for the next generation of financial services. This is a crucial part of the huge June 2025 reveal, because it adds an entirely new dimension of programmability and sophistication to Stellar's remittance capabilities. Think about what smart contracts on Sorabon can enable: more complex remittance logic, automated currency conversions with potentially lower slippage by tapping into on-chain liquidity pools or AMMs built on Sorabon, conditional payments, funds released only when certain criteria are met, enhanced user experience. Fintechs can build more feature-rich remittance dApps directly on Stellar, offering users in-app swaps, savings features linked to remittances, or even micro-insurance for transfers. Reduced integration friction. Sorabon, with its use of WebAssembly, WASM, and support for common languages like Rust, aims to make it easier for a wider range of developers to build and integrate remittance solutions. New financial primitives. We could see the emergence of novel financial products specifically designed around remittance flows, such as yield-bearing accounts for recipients funded directly via cross-border payments. As of June 2025, we are seeing the first wave of Sorabon-powered applications related to payments and value transfer beginning to gain traction. While still early for some of the more advanced use cases, the infrastructure is now robust, and the developer community is actively building. This programmability means Stellar's secret weapon is not static. It's adaptive and constantly upgrading its capabilities. The huge June 2025 reveal: Stellar's quiet onslaught on remittance fees and what it means. So, what is the huge June 2025 reveal about Stellar XLM's secret weapon? It's not a single, sudden announcement. Rather, it's the full appreciation of Stellar's methodical, multi-layered, and increasingly effective strategy that has been systematically engineered and deployed over years to genuinely crush remittance fees. The reveal is understanding that Stellar's power in this domain comes from the potent synergy of this core low-cost, high-speed ledger technology, its native asset issuance capabilities and robust anchor network, the deep liquidity and trust provided by USDC on Stellar, proven, expanding strategic partnerships like MoneyGram, and a growing ecosystem of other fintechs delivering real-world services. And now, the emerging power of Sorabon smart contracts to add a new layer of sophistication and innovation. This isn't about hype. It's about a demonstrable, functioning system that, as of mid-2025, is making significant inroads in reducing the cost and friction of moving money globally for everyday people and businesses. Stellar's approach has been one of consistent building, focusing on utility, and fostering an open ecosystem. The implications are profound: greater financial inclusion, more capital retained by families and communities, and a significant validation of Stellar's network utility, which, is a fundamental driver for any digital asset in the long run. This quiet, persistent onslaught on high remittance fees, executed through a well-architected weapon system, is what the most astute observers are watching. This is the substance behind the Stellar promise. Understanding this comprehensive strategy, this secret weapon in its entirety, is what gives a clearer perspective on Stellar's true potential in the global financial landscape. It's a testament to long-term vision and meticulous execution. Thank you for joining this deep dive today. If you found this analysis insightful and it helped you understand Stellar's strategy more clearly, please do hit that like button. And for more crucial updates and deep dives into the crypto space, make sure you subscribe to BecryptoSmart and activate those notifications. What are your thoughts on Stellar's remittance strategy? Let me know in the comments below. Until next time, stay informed and look for the fundamentals.